Hello, my name is Josh Lee, and this is my case study for EDL 853. So this case was called Get This Child Out of My Room. And basically it's a case study that involves, there's a teacher who wants a special ed student who has a behavior plan moved out of their classroom. And this was the practice that's gone on in this district for a while with a previous special ed teacher. We have a new special ed teacher this year who wants to do a different kind of plan with the student. There's a lack of parental involvement for the student. Their teacher power plays. You have a new teacher who's kind of trying to get an experienced teacher trying to overpower them. There's kind of a lack of administrative support, just in that there's not a lot of administration in the district. There's one superintendent and then kind of a lead teacher type person in each building. And then we're trying to figure out how we're going to best meet the needs of all the stakeholders who are involved. So category one was the problem identification. And we talk about what do we know, what do we need to know, and then what's the problem. So the things that we know, first of all, obviously this teacher, general education teacher, wants the student out of their classroom. This student does have a behavior disorder that's been diagnosed. There's a new special education teacher, and they've created a new behavior plan that they think will help the student with getting them out of the room when they need to be, calming them down, getting them back in versus just having them educated somewhere different. And this student does have a lot going on. The parents just got divorced. Not a lot of parental support at all on that side. Just has a rough go of it right now. The things we need to know that I feel like I need to know. One, I want to know the data for the students under the previous special education teacher. They were being pulled out of the classroom, getting all their education in different places when they had behavior problems. I want to see their data to see if that was effective at all. I want to know if we can find a way to get a working relationship between this special education teacher and the general education teacher. We've got to work together, got to be a team, and I want to figure out how we're going to do that. And I need to know what support staff's available. Do we have counselors, social workers, things like that can work with this student, talk to them through some issues. So to me, the main problem is how are we going to attempt to provide the student an education in his LRE or least restrictive environment and then still be able to satisfy as much staff as possible. We aren't going to make everybody happy all the time, but we want to try to do the best we can to keep people happy with their life and their work. Category two is the plan of action. And so I have four things I want to do. First of all, I want to attempt to get Carl, who is a student, in touch with a counselor or social worker. It's pretty clear that he doesn't have a lot of adult support. In the meeting that they had, the mom and dad didn't seem to get along. The mom's working all the time. The dad hasn't had Carl much. So some adult support would be great there. I want to educate all the staff on the laws concerning the free appropriate public education and the least restrictive environment, other laws that involve special education. Just let them know we're trying to do the right thing by students here and the right thing by the law as well, so they understand why we do the things we do in our district. And this would be something I would use some professional development time to help, and helping all the staff then adjust to our new special education teacher and the way things are going to be done. I would want to ensure that this student, when we put in this new plan for them, that their behavior plan, once that's done, their data is being tracked so we can see if what we're doing is being effective for the student. And then I want to implement behavior education for all students. There's a line I hear a lot of which says if they can't read, we teach them to read. If they can't do math, we teach them to do math. If we can't behave, then we either punish them or want to get rid of them. We don't teach them how to behave. So we want to put in some educational plans to teach our students how to behave in the classroom and what our expectations are. Category three, we're trying to resolve all the issues promoting the success of all the students. So some things we're going to look at are helping all students. One, all students benefit when special education students are included in the least restrictive environment classroom. That provides a level of diversity they don't see otherwise. Obviously, the special education students benefit because they're receiving instruction from the most qualified person to give it to them. But there's some ancillary benefits to other students that are in the classroom as well by having that kind of diversity and getting to meet different people and having some different support roles. All students are going to benefit from having behavior instruction protocols. When we start really teaching students how we want them to behave, what's appropriate for what places, that's a benefit to all students. There's a reason that's become a big deal in teaching social emotional learning and things like and behavior plans in schools recently. It's because it helps all students. And then I feel like when we put this new behavior plan in place, it's going to still benefit all students, because if a student is disrupting the learning process, we are going to remove them temporarily, let them calm down, work through some issues, and get them back into the classroom. So we aren't going to have that disruption to the educational process for every student. We're going to take the least amount of time possible to get all the students back in the room learning again. So category 4 starts off with what are we thinking, feeling, valuing. This is tough. I'm thinking, I understand the general education teacher wanting to remove the student from their classroom. They're thinking they're doing the best thing for all their kids. It's not the right way to go about it, but I get it. I get what they're thinking there. I think that there are definite PD needs for this district, whether that's differentiation in the classroom, whether it's handling students with behavior issues, whether it's just understanding the educational laws and what we're doing with special education students. There are some PD needs we need to take care of. And then I think we need to meet the needs of all of our students. We don't sacrifice a couple students because we're going to help these other ones. We want to try to meet the needs of all of our students. They belong to all of us. My feelings, I wish all teachers were willing to do what was necessary for their student success. I hear all the time about teachers wanting to get a student moved here, moved there, and it's just, what can we do to help those kids? And I wish all teachers felt that way. I certainly feel sorry for the student and the situation they're in. I think it's very unfortunate when you have a student who people just aren't taking the time to help and just moving on from. And then I'm happy to hear about the SPED teacher and their feelings that they want to do the right thing and they're trying to help kids. My values on this one, I value staffs that are willing to work together. I recently worked with some special education staff that worked really well with general education teachers. I really value that when people are willing to work together to do what's right for kids. I value the rights of all students to the best possible education. And I value districts and staffs that adhere to educational laws and don't try to bend them or flex them the way they need it to work for them, but realize we want to do all the right thing and follow laws, do the best thing for our kids. That's a big deal. So then continuing category 4, we talk about what's still left unresolved or what do we need to have further investigation in. And I have 3 things here. One, can we get these teachers to develop some kind of a working relationship? They clearly don't work together right now. It seems like the experienced teacher just misses the way things were done with the older special education teacher. We've got to figure out how can we get something to work together for them all. I want to know, and we're going to track, does the data support the new teacher's plan? If we're going to take this kid out for short periods of time, get them back in the classroom, will the data back up we're doing the right thing for the kids? Data doesn't lie. It's pretty cut and dry, pretty black and white. And then if we bring in professional development or we use staff bright spots to do the professional development, will this help build an understanding of all the policies we want to be following? Just seeing that we're doing correct and following up on that. Category 5 is 3 parts. First of all, how do I promote the academic success of every student? We want to look at all of our students, not just the one for this case study. So first of all students are going to receive their academic instruction in the least restrictive environment. That's just the way we're going to be doing things, and I think it benefits all students and helps them to be getting their academic instruction from the most qualified person to give it to them. Students under behavior plans will be temporarily removed from the classroom when causing disruptions to learning. Obviously helps everybody. The student who has the behavior plan is getting moved to somewhere where they can just cool down and get ready to come back to class. The students who do not are still in the classroom, still getting their instruction, and the disruption is removed temporarily to get calmed down and they can keep getting their instruction then. And then teachers are going to provide instruction for academics as well as behavior. I mentioned this earlier. The right thing to do for students at this point is to look at beyond just the academic instruction and provide, try to create the whole student and look at the student as a whole and what ways can we help them. The next thing is how we're going to promote the personal well-being of every student. For this one, we're no longer going to separate students based on disability. That's the first thing. We're going to make sure these students feel a part of their school, part of their class. We're not going to pull them apart because of something they have no control over. Disability is not a punishment. We're not going to punish kids because they have those. Teachers are going to differentiate academic and social emotional instruction to the needs of their students. This will take some PD, obviously, but we're going to build the students' efficacy or the teachers' efficacy in how they can work with kids and that what they do matters and how are they going to help all of their students. And then we are going to use a social worker and our counselor for students who are in crises. There wasn't a lot of description on if that existed, but we want to make sure that we have those people available to us, that when students are having trouble and need somebody to talk to and they don't have that adult presence at home like this student doesn't, that we have somebody there to help them out. Category 5, the continuation of this, is how do I enhance instructional capacity? So what are we doing to build up all of our teachers? Teacher efficacy is a huge deal, and so we got to make sure teachers understand that what they're doing affects their students and that they can make a difference. So we're providing professional development on educational laws dealing with special education. I mentioned it a few times. We need our teachers to understand what the law says, what we're going to be doing for students, and why we're doing it. Again, we're also providing professional development about behavior protocols. Instructing the whole student and making sure that we're meeting our students' needs. And then we're going to support teachers who are doing the right thing for students. So as a leader in this district, I want to make sure that somebody like the special education teacher who's doing the right thing to provide that student the best education possible is getting the administrative support. And it's clear to all teachers that when you're doing the right thing by kids, I'm going to be behind you and help you with that whenever I can. So if those things are done, I feel like the instructional capacity of all of our staff is going to improve. And if you go into what John Hattie says, the number one factor right now for increasing achievement is teacher efficacy. So when our teachers understand that what they're doing matters and they can build their students up, that's going to increase the production from all of our students. So it's kind of a big deal. Thank you.